my name is Alexis. I will be starting med school with UCI's Prime program starting this summer. I am so excited, especially because just a couple days ago, actually, I applied for housing, and through PrimeLC's program, you do get guaranteed housing. So looking at the floor plans and stuff, and looking at pictures of the different communities, and starting to picture in my mind, okay, what furniture am I gonna buy? How am I gonna decorate it? That's been really exciting, and it's making this so much more real for me. I know that my last video that I made about a month ago, I was expressing that I was struggling a little bit, but I have been doing so much better, and I do want to talk about that at some point. But I just want to let you all know thank you for your support, and I'm feeling a lot better and a lot happier. And I wanted to take this opportunity to talk a little bit more about how I prepped for the MCAT, because last Thursday actually I was a part of a panel of previous postbacks who have taken the MCAT, some twice, some even 3 times, and were successful. And I wanted to share some tips that I hadn't said before that they did, and more specifically exactly how I prepped. A couple resources that they mentioned that they said that was really helpful for them is Anki, and I think that's like a flashcard app or something like that, where you can review a lot of the concepts that are common in the MCAT. Also UWorld. So UWorld, I actually did do a free trial, but I didn't purchase it because once I found out about it, I was already like a month into my MCAT prep, and I didn't want to psych myself out. But UWorld, when I did do the free trial, and from what I've heard from other people too, is a really good resource, because they give thorough explanations of why the wrong answers are wrong and why the right answers are right in the practice problems. And for me, that was really crucial, especially with all the diagrams and the notes and the pictures and stuff, because I noticed that with Kaplan, there was quite a bit that I wasn't sure that I got right by chance, because I was making educated guesses, and there weren't thorough enough explanations for some of the answers that I still didn't get clarity on, whereas that never was the case for UWorld. Yeah, so Anki, UWorld, those were the 2 that were brought up, but I, for my MCAT prep, primarily just did Kaplan and AAMC, and I know that's something that I had mentioned before, but I also didn't mention exactly how I did prep. And so UCI's post-PET program is really special, because the way it's structured is you take all your undergraduate coursework in the beginning of the program. So that really helps develop your foundation in your biochem knowledge. And I even took stats, so that helped me a little bit with the math component, compared to other post-PET programs who have the MCAT at the beginning, which I don't think that is particularly helpful, especially if you're coming out of undergrad with a low GPA. And if that's from the science courses, you want to make sure that you have built up those test taking skills and are kind of confident in your ability to learn a lot of these concepts. So anyway, breaking that down a little bit more, the UCI postbac also pays for a Kaplan course, which I think normally runs about $3,000. It's 6 weeks, I believe, more or less, and I took, I think, 9 weeks. I'll put up my schedule, but I think I took about 9 weeks to study for the exam. And in those 6 weeks of the Kaplan course, basically how it was structured is Monday, Wednesday, we had a class, which was a lesson plan, and I'll kind of break that down on what we did. This is the MCAT lesson book that we used for those classes. And on Fridays, we would do a practice full length. So the duration of the normal MCAT exam, which was about 8 hours, again, beginning with Chem Phys, CARS, Biochem, and Psych-Soc. And then that Friday afternoon, I would usually take it off. Saturday, I would review. Sunday, do a little bit more review of the exam. And then based on what I missed, based on what concepts I really missed on the practice full length, is what I would really focus on that week. And then I would just take another test. So that helped in a variety of ways, right? So just taking the full length exams really helped build my stamina and build my confidence and my comfort in how the test was going to be organized come test day. And towards the end of my study period, like towards week 6, week 7, we didn't have any more Kaplan classes, and we doubled up on our practice exams. So instead of just taking one practice full length, we took 2 practice full lengths for like 2 or 3 weeks leading up to the exam. And the reason why that's really important is because we actually saved our double AMC practice exams to the very end, and that's to keep that way that the double AMC practice full lengths is structured fresh in our minds, because the double AMC full lengths most mirror the actual exams, at least in my experience and from the experience of other people in my cohort and other postbacks and from what I've read in Reddit and so forth. I know I'm talking really fast. I just kind of want to get as much information as I can on here. So this is another book that I had, which was a biochem book, and the first 2 weeks was kind of chaotic because that's where I did the majority of my content review. And what I mean by content review is that I read the books essentially. I would do a day where I would say I want to really focus on biochem, which wasn't really the case for me. I needed to focus more on chem phys because I hadn't taken physics in like 5 years, and chemistry was always a source subject. But I'm just gonna, in this example, I'm gonna do biochem because I have the book here. So I would say that I was gonna do biochem. This is in the first 2 weeks, and I would read about 2 to 3 chapters of each book. And after I would read a chapter, I would go on the Kaplan website and then pull up questions that were relevant or topics that were relevant to that chapter and practice those. So I know a lot of people, they dog on reading and they say, oh, that's not enough. And I agree to a certain extent. Reading the Kaplan MCAT books are going to give you a lot, the foundation. I think that was enough for me, but you really do need to practice to enhance, to get familiar with how they're going to question, and also enhance your analytical skills, because you don't always need to know every little gritty detail of these certain topics to get the right answer. Nonetheless, so I would read the chapter, and at the end, then I would highlight, I don't know if you could kind of see that there, and at the end are discrete practice questions. So this is to test your, kind of like your memorization and how much you've understood the content, but they're not exactly questions that are going to be in the MCAT necessarily. It's more so for your own regurgitation of the information, if that makes sense. But I still did them. I don't know if you could see that. To me, they were helpful, but not for everybody. And then I also took note of the equations that they asked to remember, because they did come up in one form or another. And I thought there's also these concept checks throughout each section. So the answers to those, and those ones were particularly useful as well. So I would read through the chapter, do the concept check questions, do the discrete questions, and in between that, Kaplan also has another, I guess, I don't know, subgroup where you can watch videos on a related concept. I would watch those videos. I would watch Khan Academy videos too, sometimes YouTube videos if I was really challenged on a subject, which was for me actually acids and bases. I could never 100% understand it. Like, yes, acids and bases are pretty simple to understand, but when you're applying these complex problems, they're kind of challenging. But nonetheless, that's what I would do. So that's what I did for the first 2 weeks. And I felt pretty confident going into that first full length. But after that, what I focus on is going through each and every question, writing down what type of question it was, and writing down why I got it wrong. Whether it was a simple content issue or if it was something I hadn't noticed that was already in the passage, or sometimes it was I just didn't know the equation, or I wasn't I just didn't even comprehend what the topic subject was at all. But those are some things that I did after Saturday, Sunday. And then the rest of my review times was, again, just doing more practice problems based on the group of concepts that had gone wrong in that full length. And so I think that was enough for me. And I had like a book like this for each subject. And I'm a weirdo. I don't like to write on the first page for some reason. I don't want to dirty it, which is dumb. But anyway, here are like DNA structures and stuff. here are my notes, and more or less I wrote notes on the same thing over and over again, but that was just to imprint it in my brain. Yeah, not too colorful. Oh, except for this glycolysis. Oh my god, that's fun. I don't even think it came up, but there's that. So I'm trying to think if there was really anything else. Okay, yeah, so month one, I was really focusing on using Kaplan resources. So I did most of the practice problems, if not all of the practice problems for physics, read or did most of the videos, followed the videos, and especially tried to do the questions at the end of the tutorials and stuff. I thought those were really helpful. As far as the classes itself, the prep, like I know that $3,000 for a Kaplan course may not be worth it for some of you, or you may not be able to afford it. And luckily that was paid for with our program. If I was asked, is it worth it? I would say, I don't know, because I didn't pay $3,000. It did help. It did help, but not in the sense that they taught a little bit about content and a lot about strategy, and sometimes those strategies worked for me and sometimes those strategies didn't. So when they did more of like the content review, more of the lecture-based stuff, I found that it was particularly helpful because it was having someone that had a little bit more experience and knowledge and expertise, being able to just describe something I was having challenges with a lot easier. But I think that you could also find that within like a TA or a professor that you have a close relationship with that is an expert in chemistry or physics or biochem, something like that. So it kind of just depends on how much initiative that you take, but they also offer scholarships as well. So that's just something to consider. I can talk a little bit more about the course itself. I think it was about 2 or 3 hours, those Mondays and Wednesdays. But yeah, like I said, I think that it was helpful. Would not necessarily say that it was necessary, but it was nice to have a break of just sitting down and studying independently and being more in a group setting where you can kind of collaborate and bounce off ideas of the other people. I'll post anything that I found particularly helpful either in this video or in the description below, but if you guys have any more questions, please feel free to let me know, and good luck wherever you are in your MCAT.